Why hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Megan and we talk about all things weddings on this channel. I own a wedding planning business in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I thought that today it might be helpful to go through what we take to wedding days and what is in our wedding kit. Some of these items are more useful than others, but it's always helpful to have plenty of extras. So without further ado, I bring this very large polka dot bag that you can see here, and it has honestly gotten really unorganized. So I thought this would be a good time to organize the wedding kit, but also kind of show what are some of the things that we bring, things that you might not necessarily think about, but would be helpful for you to have on your wedding day, just in an emergency kit, that sort of thing. Which actually, as I'm going through this, I'm like, where did some of those items go? But we will find out. So, a few things that we have that are not as commonly used in here are a beer can opener. So this just pretty much pushes down, opens pretty much any kind of glass bottle of beer. Most bartenders bring their own supplies, so this is really truly backup. We do have a wine opener in here as well. I have these little, really small, they're just Avery multi-use labels. They come on and off really easily. There we go. Those are helpful to just kind of label things if it's a really confusing wedding in terms of whose decor belongs to who, especially if you're purchasing a lot of your own decor. We've got some batteries. These are 2032 lithium batteries. These are primarily used for tea light battery candles. If you are not allowed to use real candles at your wedding venue. So that is super helpful. We do have a few kind of chalk markers and things like that, or paint pens. So this is a gold paint pen. This is just from Hobby Lobby, and I've got a white one too. These are the kind of paint pens that you can actually, I think, draw on a car. But we have used them for mirror signs, like mirror welcome signs, that sort of thing. And we've got a liquid chalk pen, which always comes in handy as well. And this is not something that really gets used all that much, but it can come in handy more so for like final details meetings or walkthroughs when we're trying to figure out like, how long is this rail where we need to plan greenery for it, like a stairwell or something like that. So measuring tape, that's usually buried in the bottom of this. Like I said, doesn't get used as much, but does come in handy more so during, I guess, the planning process, you could say, if it's more of a partial planning or full planning wedding. We've always got some sort of pens in the wedding kit. A lot of times that stuff gets forgotten for guest books, so always have some backups. Got a ton of envelopes, empty envelopes, just in case if like parents want them for final payments that are due day of. We really try to have all the payments done in advance of the wedding, but sometimes they're needed just for a check if vendors only take in-person checks, or for tips if parents want to give tips and don't have something, that sort of thing. More batteries, always kind of have a variety of batteries. These are AA batteries, but we usually do have at least some AAA batteries as well. Those kind of more so come into play if a venue has a decor closet and we need to kind of replace batteries that are in that decor closet. Extra pins, and I know I've got others somewhere in another room too. Extra pins can come in handy for groomsmen boutonnieres, guys boutonnieres, that sort of thing. Really, I recommend putting on boutonnieres with 2 pins. They just stay much more in place and it's much easier to put them on. Extra hair ties. So 2 of my favorite things that get used pretty often are zip ties. That's a really big one. I really like these really long clear ones that actually are on Amazon. These are ones that I'm just trying to get rid of. They're super long, and you don't have to worry about if the length is gonna work or not because you can always cut them down. But besides that, one of my absolute favorite things to use for hanging decor on backdrops or installations, whatever it is fishing line. So this is just one that I got on Amazon. And so I love this because it can hold up to 75 pounds, which is amazing. Super useful. To kind of go along with that, sometimes we do use chicken wire. This is more for like a styled shoe. Obviously chicken wire is more common with florals, and planner doesn't arrange your florals unless that's like some sort of unless that's some sort of add-on that's been arranged, something like that. Box cutter, this doesn't get used often because we always have pocket knives on ourselves, which is honestly easier to use for breaking down boxes and opening boxes, things like that. A lighter for sparklers. We typically do light like one sparkler and then share it to light more because that's much quicker. It's actually not that easy to light some of the sparklers. So I've got one of those, and we also have like a handheld one. Safety pins, super, super important. Probably gonna need to get more of these soon, but I had just gotten this little box that had like 4 different sizes on Amazon, but those definitely get used a lot when we don't have time to kind of like hem something when it needs to be hemmed, or you know, something just breaks. This is a newer one to the wedding kit. It is emergency thermal blankets. This is really helpful for taking photos when it's the colder winter season. This little green bag is what I call the sewing kit. I've got translucent thread. This comes in really handy. And then I also have black thread and a needle. I think there's some white thread in here too, but that definitely does get used pretty often, whether it's to sew something onto a bride's bouquet, to the ribbon, that sort of thing, or, you know, groomsman button. That's pretty common. So I've also got a little flat iron. This actually hasn't gotten used yet, but I do keep it in here just in case. This is just like a mini flat iron, and it's the Babyliss Pro, Babyliss. I don't really know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's got like the double-sided, so you can do curls with that as well. But like I said, that hasn't gotten used yet. So we've got that. Glass cleaner. I love this particular kind of glass cleaner because it just works so well, and it also just cleans a lot of things. This is an adhesive spray. This hasn't gotten used so much on a wedding day, but it has been used for wedding things like, I don't know, putting a sign to a foam board or something along those lines. Hairspray. I've had this one probably for about 2 years. It also doesn't get used all that much. I think just because in the moment, it just doesn't get used to. Or we just don't get to it, is what I'm trying to say. And so then I've got a water and stain repellent shoe spray. I've just had this forever. I keep it in the wedding kit. You never know when it'll come in handy. I used to also wear like a suede flat ceremony shoes, and so that's kind of where that came from. More zip ties. This is a great tool that I learned from a local florist. This is a floral spray. And so basically in the hot summer months, you spray this and it's supposed to help keep your flowers a little bit more fresh. One thing though is you're not supposed to use this and then put flowers in the fridge. If you do that, you can, I believe, freeze the flower petals. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I just know that you're not supposed to do that. We've always got some extra kind of like cocktail napkins as a backup. They don't get used as much, but can come in handy. A mask. That's obviously a newer thing. Got some earplugs if that's ever something someone needs. A whole packet of bobby pins. Cutting board. This is really for, I don't know, it just somehow got acquired. But really, if like a bartender forgets theirs for cutting mixers, that sort of thing. Also got a knife for that just in case. We're nearing the end of it. A bit more pins for boutonnieres. I've even got some safety pins. This is really more so for my wedding folder and that sort of thing. More of the larger kinds of little sticker labels. I don't know, is that focusing? Is that working? I don't know. Okay. I've got two kinds of glue. One is a fabric glue. I have really liked using fabric glue in general. I think that it just works really well. And it like sometimes if like a shoe breaks or part of it, this is a good option to use for that. And then this is also just Gorilla Glue. This is Gorilla Glue. So two kinds of glues. Those get used from time to time. Tape, just regular Scotch tape. This is used for various things, but most commonly I like to write little name tags for the family on their chairs and tape them with where to sit and when to walk out so they don't have to remember, or if they forget, they've got some sort of cheat sheet. So that is very commonly used. I've got some surgical tape. I kind of have this over Band-Aids. I had a few surgeries last year, so I think that's partially where this came in, but I think that it's also really good at protecting, especially if you're using like your hands and things like that a lot over Band-Aids that tend to come off a lot. This is some kind of like this is technically a vinyl tape. It says vinyl electrical tape. This is just a Scotch one. It looks like it hasn't been opened. Can this go into focus? It looks like it hasn't been opened, but it has been used. So that's really handy. Just like a general kind of clear Scotch tape. This gets used all the time. Just to, honestly, even this last weekend, because of the wind, it was used. I was like, this was so smart of the person who did this. But one of the people on the team taped down the things on an outdoor table with this, and you could barely tell, just to keep things in place from the wind, and that was great. Scissors, handy scissors, always used, almost every single wedding, always. Scissors are like one of the top things. We've got a microfiber towel. This does get used pretty often, depending on what the weather is like, but this is great to wipe down chairs because it's microfiber and it goes a lot longer of a ways than if we had even like two towels, because it just absorbs a lot better. So that does get used quite often. We've got two spare hangers. I think that hangers are one of the things that gets forgotten the most. I would say this one doesn't really get used as much because a lot of times there's not really as many photos of the groom's outfit, but wedding dress photos, just a simple white wooden hanger in case a bride has just brought, you know, the hanger that her dress came in and hasn't thought about that. That's pretty commonly used. And one of my favorite things in the wedding kit is the last one I'm going to show for today. They're actually these white chiffon ribbons that are just something we've gotten on Amazon. And I feel like I'm not really showcasing them to their fullest potential, but they're really pretty white chiffon frayed ribbons, and they kind of just blend in with every single wedding style, whether you're having a very traditional classic wedding or more of a moody wedding or a boho styled wedding. I use these to block off the first two rows most of the time. If you don't have something that's super obvious that's gonna block off your rows, this is something that I like to use. It doesn't really change your style if that's something you don't want, but those are just an Amazon buy, and I've got a ton of other ribbons in here too that sometimes come in handy for tying cocktail tables if they need to be tied, if it's in a windy area. Okay, I lied. I've got a few more quick things to show you, and clearly it's starting to get dark outside early. Lighting's just a little bit off right now. So, ribbons were not the last thing. Here is the gold wedding folder. The whole team knows usually the marriage license is kept in this front folder, but pretty much timeline, reception cue sheets, ceremony placements, ceremony cue sheets, any forms, tons of extras if vendors want them. Some want them, some don't, that sort of thing. So I've got that. And then used almost every single wedding unless there's a technical. The next and last thing for today is used every single wedding unless there is a technical issue of some sort. And those are our walkie-talkies, which come in super handy. We used to have 4 and then somehow at a wedding earlier this year, 2 of them disappeared and those have not gotten replaced yet. Charging station for the walkie-talkies. And then we've got these really cool kind of like Secret Service earpieces to go in them, which they're way more comfortable and they don't get caught up like the ones that actually came with the walkie-talkie set, which are these. Oh, and I totally forgot. We have silver, gold, and black cake knives. And we pretty much always have them. Whether or not you know it, we've always got them, knowing what your wedding colors are. Just because that is also one of the things that most people forget about. Most people truly don't think about the cake knives, but we've always got them. One of the most used things as well, and it's also one of the most lost things that we sometimes have to track down from a rental company, that sort of thing. So I hope this was helpful with a few things to remember or pack for your wedding day. We also have some things that we bring that I didn't show today, like sparkler buckets. I definitely recommend getting a little bit taller sparkler buckets. They're just more safe when guests are putting their used sparklers in them, and they're still usually really hot. So just a little bit safer. Don't have to worry about them tipping over. We also bring a kind of like service cart that kind of folds up. Super handy for setting things up quicker and for also cleaning up quicker. So that's just a few things that we have. Other things I've heard that some wedding planners use or bring with them every wedding day is a pair of black socks. I actually haven't run into the issue where groomsmen has needed a pair of socks. Knock on wood, because just watch it happen this weekend after I just said that. But that's another thing that would be possibly useful to add in. We usually have things like feminine hygiene products, that kind of stuff, which I didn't show today, but those are usually things that we have somewhere on hand. Bug spray, that was one I didn't have in here because it's in my backpack. Also very, very used in some of the spring and summer months when it gets more humid. Okay, so my battery keeps dying, so I'm just gonna say a quick goodbye on here in not the best lighting. I got a camera and I'm clearly learning how to use it, so I hope you found this helpful and it might have helped you think of a few things to, I don't know, pack on your wedding day or think of purchasing or renting in advance from a local rental company. But yeah, I hope that you found this helpful or at least educational if you're one of our couples and are wondering what do we bring with us, what things do I need, do I really need to pack this, could I do without it because you bring it, that sort of thing. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye.